Hello, it's Karen, and I'm at the Cool Tool Studio to demonstrate how to apply decals to your enamel art. These decals come in lots of different patterns, and these are just a few of my favorites. They also come in different finishes. There's silver, gold, copper, black, and then full color. They're a great way to add an accent to your pieces. So let's get started. For this project, I've prepared some copper discs that we sell at Cool Tools with Thompson unleaded enamels. And I've just picked opaque colors that I thought would look nice with the decals. I'm also going to be using a squeegee today to help apply the decals, and then you just want a dish with some warm water in it. You don't have to microwave it or anything to make it hot, you just want it to be slightly warm out of your tap. And then I've picked out my decals and I've cut them from the sheet, and the smaller the edge, the closer you cut to your decal, the less you have to burn out in your kiln. So cut your edge as close to your decal as you can. So I'm going to get started with the shell here, and you want to remove the wax paper, and then you're going to set it into the warm water and it's going to curl up. And then once it relaxes, you're going to want to pull it out. And I'm also going to warm my enamel piece. You want to keep an eye on your decal. If it slides off the backing paper, it'll be really hard to figure out which side's supposed to go up. So I'm going to pull this off and put the paper side down, kind of plan where I want it to be, and your decal should really easily release. If it doesn't, give it another minute or so for the glues to relax and see if it'll slide off. If it doesn't again, you can soak it again and then come back with it, but it should just slide really easily off. And then at this point, you're going to take your squeegee and try to get all of the water out from underneath that decal. And you don't want any air bubbles either, because those will blow out and disrupt the pattern when you fire. And you want to have a soft squeegee for this, because if you were using something hard, you could rip through your decal. So just spend some time making sure you get all the air and water out. And then you're going to want to let these dry. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to repeat the process with the color one just so you can see how that goes on as well. So again, taking off the wax paper, and I'm placing the decal in the water. These color ones are slightly translucent, so you'll want to pick a background color that's either light or complements your decal, because some of it might come through. So again, this is kind of warm, and then my decal looks like it's relaxed some. And, oh, that guy's really ready to go. But it's good to pull it off while it's still on the paper, because again, you want to make sure that this backside goes against your decal. It's kind of the opposite of temporary tattoos, and a little bit more like a sticker in that you want the glue side down against your piece. So once I like the placement of that, you have a little bit of time to scoot it around, but not a lot. I'm going to come in with my squeegee, and again, just spend some time to get all of that air and water out. And then once you think you've got it, you should let these dry, and overnight is ideal, but at least for a couple of hours. Alright, so I'm going to let these dry. So these are the other ones dry now, and they're ready for the first phase firing. And since they're not going to get any higher than 800 degrees, the counter enamel isn't going to get hot enough to fuse, so you can set them directly onto a mesh firing rack and do multiple at once for the first phase. The manufacturer of these decals offers a specific schedule for firing the first phase, and it's not complicated, it just has quite a few steps. The first ramp is going to be 80 degrees per hour up to 185 degrees, and there's going to be a 20-minute hold. After that, program your kiln to ramp 185 degrees per hour up to 400 and hold for 15 minutes. Finally, you're going to ramp 250 degrees per hour up to 800 and hold for 15. After that, you shouldn't see any edge left from the decal, and you should just have your image left. From then, you can either fire them immediately, or you can leave them sit for a while before doing the final firing. So I have another set that I've done in preparation, and these have already had the first phase of firing. And you can see that the full color ones kind of have a matte finish until you fire them in. And then the metallic ones already kind of shine up some, but you don't see the edge from the paper anymore. So these are ready for the final phase where you're just going to fuse them into the enamel. I'm just going to set my kiln to 1420, and then I'm going to be firing them looking for, in this case, the decal to kind of shine up. That's a good indicator that it's done. And then in this case, I'm just going to kind of keep an eye for the enamel to look hot, because this isn't really going to change color. If you do pull your decal too early, you can put it back in the kiln and fire it again. So I'm going to head off to the kiln and give these guys a fire. So these have now been fired and are cool, and I fired them just like any other enamel on a trivet. And you can tell it's done because it's got a nice glossy shine to it. And a good thing to keep in mind when you're doing the final phase firing on these decals is that you're firing the enamel to receive the decal. So I know from experience that this blue is a slightly higher fire color, so it was in the kiln for about 1.5 minutes, whereas this blue is a little bit softer, so it was only in the kiln for about 1 minute or so. And this guy's fully fused on as well. It didn't gloss up any more than it already was, but you can give it a good scratch and it's not going anywhere. So we know that's been fused on. And this one got that beautiful glossy quality, and I think it looks great. So here are some of my finished samples from this project. And I did a little bit of experimenting because I wanted to see if you could place these decals on top of Ferrero Sunshine enamels. And you can. I also wanted to see if the decals would hold up for firings after they've been applied. So for this piece, I put down the decal, fired it in, and then I painted on some fine line black and fired that in as well. And the decal still looks great. I also wanted to see if I could put Ferrero Sunshine enamels on the enamels after it's gotten the decal. And that worked out great as well. I did notice that you can't brush the Sunshine enamel over top the decal. If you wanted to do that, you would have to place another layer of enamel, like a transparent, on top of your decal and fire it in. Then you could come over top with more Sunshine enamel. So there's plenty of opportunity to add additional embellishment to these pieces after they've had the decals fired in. These decals come in lots of different patterns and finishes, and there's a little something for everyone. They're a great way to elevate your enamel pieces, and they're really fun to apply. I hope you've enjoyed this video and give decals a try.
Visit our Learning Center at cooltools.us for more cool jewelry making videos. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to sign up for our email list to be the first to hear about new videos, new products, and other cool stuff from Cool Tools.